Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a key part of English grammar: modal verbs. These fascinating little words are the key to unlocking a more natural and fluent way of speaking English. Whether you're a beginner or looking to refine your skills, understanding modal verbs is essential. These little words are essential for speaking English naturally and fluently. They might seem small, but modal verbs help you express a range of ideas, from ability and possibility to necessity and permission or obligation. Modal verbs like these are like helpers for main verbs. They don't show actions themselves, but they modify the main verb to add extra meaning, much like a pinch of salt or a dash of pepper can transform a meal. For instance, saying, "I can swim," is different from "I might swim." The first sentence shows ability, while the second indicates possibility. This small change adds a layer of meaning that makes your statement clearer and more precise. In this video, we'll focus on using modal verbs to express ability and possibility. These are two of the most common uses of modal verbs, and mastering them will give you a solid foundation for using other modal verbs as well. You'll learn the rules, see examples, and get tips to avoid common mistakes. By the end of this video, you'll have a much better understanding of how to use modal verbs effectively in your everyday conversations. So, let's get started. Modal verbs are always followed by the base form of a verb. For example, I can swim. Notice we don't say I can to swim or she can swims. That's a common mistake, so watch out. Also, to ask a question, simply invert the modal verb and the subject. This makes it easy to form questions because you just start with the modal verb. For example, can you swim? Or, could you play the piano when you were 5? To form a negative sentence, you don't need extra words like do or did, just add not after the modal verb. For example, I can't drive yet. Or, he couldn't run very fast as a child. Can and could are your go-to modal verbs for talking about abilities. They help you express what you are capable of doing now, and what you were capable of doing in the past. Can is used for the present, while could is used for the past. This distinction is crucial for clear communication. For example, I can swim. This means that right now, in the present moment, I have the ability to swim. I could play the piano when I was younger. This tells us that in the past, I had the ability to play the piano. But it doesn't necessarily mean I can do it now. Remember, when using can or could for ability, you don't need to add to before the main verb. For example, you say, I can swim, not I can to swim. So, next time you want to talk about abilities, remember to use can for the present and could for the past. This simple rule will make your English sound more natural and fluent. Now, let's explore how to talk about possibilities using modal verbs. Can suggests a strong possibility in the present. It's often used when we are quite sure about something happening or being true. For example, it can get cold in winter. This means that it is very likely to be cold during the winter season, as it usually happens every year. Could suggests a weaker possibility in the present or future. It's used when we are less certain about something happening. For example, it could snow this winter. This means that there is a chance of snow, but we are not sure. May and might are more formal ways to express possibility. They are often used in written English and in more formal spoken contexts. They generally suggest a weaker possibility than can or could. When we use may or might, we are indicating that something is possible, but not very likely. When expressing possibility, the difference between may and might is subtle. Both can be used interchangeably in many contexts, but might often suggests a slightly lower chance of something happening. For instance, saying, "It may rain" and "It might rain" both indicate that rain is possible, but might implies a bit more doubt. To summarize, use can for strong possibilities, could for weaker ones, may for formal and slightly uncertain possibilities, and might for even more uncertain possibilities. Even confident English speakers can stumble over modal verbs. Here are some common pitfalls to avoid. Using the base form of the verb, don't say "she can" to swim. It's simply "she can swim." Remember, no to after a modal verb. Incorrect tense. Remember that can is for the present and could is for the past when talking about ability. Using may and might interchangeably. While similar, they have slightly different levels of formality and probability. Pay attention to how native speakers use modal verbs in conversations, movies, and TV shows. The more you use modal verbs, the more natural they'll sound. Let's put your knowledge to the test. Try these exercises. She can play the piano beautifully. Here, we are talking about an ability in the present moment. When I was a child, I could climb trees very quickly. When I was a child tells us that we are referring to a past ability. I couldn't swim when I was younger. I learned as an adult. Here, the speaker is talking about a specific ability, swim, that they did not have in the past. The speaker acquired the skill later, as an adult. It looks cloudy. It might rain later today. Both could and might are used to express possibility, but depending on how certain we are about the chance of rain, we use one or the other. Now, let's try to rephrase the following sentences using a modal verb. When I was a teenager, I was able to solve complex math problems. When I was a teenager, I could solve complex math problems. Here we are talking about an ability in the past. It is possible for dogs to learn new tricks at any age. Dogs can learn new tricks at any age. This is a possibility of which we are quite certain. I don't think they will arrive on time because of the traffic. They may or might not arrive on time because of the traffic. This is a possibility we are less certain of. Keep practicing, and soon you'll find it easier to choose the right modal verb for any situation. That's all for today's lesson on can, could, may, and might. Keep practicing, and you'll master these essential tools of English grammar in no time. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more English tips. See you next time.